So to celebrate the 1.5-year anniversary for Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis, we have a brand new event called Odin, Vanquisher of Souls, which sees Vincent and Tifa go to the land of the dead, reunite with Avalanche, and we even see Vincent work with a young Sephiroth and Angeal. It's pretty cool, so we're going to break that down in today's video. So if any of that sounds cool to you, you can click the like button and subscribe and leave your thoughts in the comments down below. So thank you again to Faz, or potentially Faz. I may be pronouncing that name wrong, I'm not quite sure, for covering this entire event and putting it up on their channel. I'll leave a link in the description down below so you guys can watch the full thing in 4K. It's very well done. I think it might be one of my more favorite events that they've done so far for Ever Crisis. I highly recommend you guys check it out. But we start off first with the man himself, Odin. He's in a mysterious land, just kind of minding his own business when he senses a great presence, and he takes off. It then cuts back to our party, who are in the aftermath of the Wutai Shinra War. So it's a pretty depressing time for the party, specifically Yuffie. She's pretty distraught, but she wants to do something nice to honor all of the fallen Wutaians, so she asks the party, hey, can you guys gather some flowers and we'll leave them here at the gravesite to honor them. As they're doing this, Tifa and Yuffie have conversations about how when they were younger and people passed away, they would try their best to search for them near and far. Yuffie in particular searching all around her home, under the beds, where have you, to try and find these people, but she could never find them. Tifa also mentions that she always wanted to search, but she never knew where. Vincent then cuts in and says that the most reasonable place to search would be at Mount Nebel, to which Tifa then remembers the myth of the Land of the Dead, which is an area that exists just beyond Mount Nebel where the dead go to rest. Yuffie's a little upset because they've already been to Mount Nebel, and she's like, why didn't you tell me about this before? And Tifa just unfortunately forgot, but Vincent says it would have been a waste of time anyway because only the dead can enter that land. The rest of the party leave, and we are left with Tifa and Vincent. Tifa really wants to go, but she mentions to Vincent that she hears this theory that if you go to the land of the dead and it's not your time, Odin will just send you away. However, Vincent has heard differently, and he hears that if you go to the land of the dead, Odin will just strike you down and welcome you to the realm itself. Now, as they're having this conversation, they are interrupted by Odin himself. And he looks at them and he's like, you two seem pretty strong. I want to do battle with you because the more people I cut down, the stronger me and my blade become. Now, Vincent and Tifa manage to hold their own and beat Odin, which kind of surprises him, but he's also impressed. It's at this moment that Odin singles out Vincent in particular and says, you're not worthy. Tifa, she was worthy. She's cool. But Vincent, you are not worthy to come to the land of the dead. And in what I would consider to be a bitch-ass move, Odin just strikes down Tifa and Vincent while they're unprepared. The screen fades to black and we cut to Vincent, who is alone, and he wakes up in what he believes to be Mount Nebel. However, he recognizes that that massive reactor that should be there is missing. As he's looking around the area, he hears someone yell the name Sephiroth, which surprises him, but then it cuts out and we actually find Tifa, who is also by herself. She also appears to be in Mount Nebel, and she's confused because she doesn't know what the heck is going on. But suddenly, Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse show up, which signals to Tifa, oh no, am I in the land of the dead? Am I now dead after being struck down by Odin? Because I'm seeing people who are dead. The group embraces one another, but something feels quite off, and the camera pulls back to reveal the actual spirits of Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse, who are trying to warn Tifa, hey, that ain't us, you're being fooled right now. Biggs remarks that they gotta do something to help her out because it looks like she's stuck in between the realm of life and death, and if they don't do something quick, she's gonna end up like them. So as the group is trying to get her to wake up, it is revealed that yes, these are in fact monsters, which Tifa then has to fight. The story then cuts away from Tifa, and we cut to young Sephiroth and Angeal, who are also in the same area that Vincent is in, and they're also realizing, hey, this is Mount Nebel, but this reactor that should be here, it ain't here. What's going on? Vincent then makes himself known to Angeal and Sephiroth, and asks them, hey, what's going on? Where's this reactor? They're not quite sure if they can trust him at first, but he then reveals, yeah, I used to work for Shinra, which is enough for them. Like, okay, you worked with Shinra, you can work with us, you're cool. It's at this moment that Angeal tells Vincent that while they were in southern Wutai, they were attacked by Odin, who used his Zentetsuken ability, which opened up a big old portal and sent them through it. Sephiroth then adds that Odin's blade can cut through time and space, and then surmises that Odin must have sent them back in time. Vincent agrees, and it's kind of funny why he agrees. He's like, yeah, I would agree too, because there's no way Odin would have just beaten us that easily. But they realize if they want to get home, they're gonna have to find Odin. Now, Angeal, being the cool dude he is, asks Vincent, hey, do you want to team up with us? Vincenzo's like, sure, I'd love to, but I have to look for someone first, i.e. Tifa, because he's under the assumption that she must be in the same land as well since they were both attacked together. Angeal goes, okay, well, we can help you look, to which Sephiroth disagrees. Now again, at this point in time, Angeal and Sephiroth are not seeing eye to eye. They're not quite friends, and Sephiroth is very much a loner. He doesn't have friends, he's pushed a ton of people away, and at this point, he really does just view himself as nothing more than a weapon. He feels it's better to prioritize looking for Odin instead of Vincent's friend. And he's like, well, if you guys want to go off on your own, fine, I'll go look for Odin. But Angeal, being the voice of reason here, is like, hey, we should stick together because we don't know where the heck we're at, and if we get separated, we might not find each other again. But then Vincent starts to think, well, it wasn't Tifa's time, so maybe she wasn't sent here. Maybe she was sent away. It's at this point that Odin decides to show up, and he looks at the three of them and he says, you three are worthy. I'd like to battle you. He's already slain multiple champions before. He figures if I can knock these three dudes out, I'm gonna get even stronger. So to make things a little bit more fair, he equips the party with Odin garments, because he deems them worthy and it will make them stronger. Before they fight, Vincent asks Odin, what the heck happened to Tifa? Where's she at? Odin's like, I'm not gonna tell you unless you beat me, because he's a little bit of a dick. So then a battle ensues. Of course, the party, they beat Odin, and Odin reveals that Tifa is at the gates of the land of the dead. But before they can get more information out of Odin, he senses another presence and then just takes off. We then return to Tifa. She's just defeated the monsters and she's realizing, wow, I really just miss Avalanche. I wish they were here. Maybe I am in the land of the dead. I don't know what's going on. So we have Biggs, Wedge, and Jesse, who are in the spirit form, trying to figure out how in the heck can we help her, to which this nebulous spirit just randomly appears and offers its help and guidance to help Avalanche help Tifa. The spirit tells Avalanche, hey, you guys can actually help Tifa if you can remember some of your best and strongest memories with her, which will then in turn influence her decision and help guide her to a safe area, being a nearby Mako spring. And Avalanche technically did that before, and that's what opened up Tifa's eyes to the fact that these clones were not the real Avalanche, they were monsters. So they unknowingly guided Tifa and helped her realize that that wasn't the real Avalanche. So they decide, okay, what's some of our best memories with Tifa? And they all go back to the mission briefings they used to have because Tifa would cook up good food, they would try and discuss where to go, and the one thing that always came out of those events is that they should hold their briefings in a very well-lit area. And the party always just ended up agreeing with Jesse whether they wanted to or not. So Tifa in real time realizes, yeah, those mission briefings, she starts to think about them, and she starts to think about the food, and also how Jesse would always recommend that they should go to a well-lit area. So Tifa decides, maybe I should try to find a very well-lit area where I'm currently at, and maybe that can help me out. So Tifa ends up reaching the Mako spring, however, Odin then shows up. But Tifa and Odin hear Vincent's voice, which completely distracts Odin, and he disappears. And it turns out Vincent and Tifa are in the same area. However, Tifa, again, is in that land of the dead, and Vincent is just back in time in Mount Nebel, but they're in the same exact spot. Vincent then makes a deal with Odin saying, if we can beat you, you bring Tifa back to us. Odin accepts, and one by one, they fight Odin, besting him in their own battle. Now, Odin can be a little bit of a dick, but he does uphold his end of the bargain and returns Tifa to Vincent in the group. Now, Sephiroth is like, okay, we won, now take us back to where we belong, man. But Odin, being the sneaky sneak he is, says, I'll do that, but only one of you here has yet to beat me, and that's Tifa. So he wants to still fight Tifa. If she can beat him, then he will keep his promise and return everyone back to where they're supposed to be. Now, it's in this moment that Spirit Avalanche and that nebulous spirit show up, and they're like, oh crap, Tifa has to now fight Odin on her own. They're worried about her, they're thinking about her, they love her, and without realizing it, they're essentially giving her this massive spirit bomb of love and friendship that is then affecting Tifa in real time, giving her a massive power boost. Which is cool because then suddenly she's equipped with Odin garments. But this is shocking to Odin because he's like, I didn't do that. You just started wearing my gear. I didn't bestow that upon you. I didn't deem you worthy. Where is this coming from? However, he does recognize the garments themselves. He's seen these garments before. which we will get to in a second. So Tifa does end up battling Odin, and of course it's Tifa, she wins, and Odin again upholds his promise. But he also is willing to grant Tifa a wish that she's held for a very, very long time, and that wish is to reunite with Avalanche one more time. But in a twist, Tifa thanks Odin, but turns the offer down in a really sweet way by saying that I don't need to see them again because technically we've never been apart. They've always been with me in my heart, which sounds kind of cheesy, but when you lose people in your lifetime, whether they're people or pets or what have you, something that sounds super cheesy ends up becoming really touching, at least in my opinion. And there's a quote that is on one of the placards I have for my dog that says something along the lines of, you start your day without me, but you don't have to worry because I'm always in your heart. So that kind of hit me pretty hard. So no matter what, Avalanche has always been and will always be with Tifa. Now, this is also very eye-opening for Odin because he realizes the bonds of friendship that Tifa had gave her the strength to beat him. And it's at this moment that that nebulous spirit actually enters the real world with Vincent and Tifa in the party, which alerts Odin. But then it cuts back to a flashback, and we see this ancient warrior that's actually beaten Odin before. And that fight really kind of shook Odin. He's like, how the heck did you beat me? I've beaten so many people before. You're like one of the first people to actually best me. To which the spirit tells Odin, try to learn from Tifa. She has friendship. She's got bonds. That's what makes her stronger. And on your journey, Odin, you've always been alone on this quest for power, cutting people down, making yourself and your sword stronger. What's that gotten you? And Odin has a moment of self-reflection, which is nuts. I'd never expected a summon in the Final Fantasy VII universe to have character development and have that moment where he's like, I'm alone. I have no one. And he realizes that in order to become stronger, he can forge bonds and friendships with people. It's not just cutting enemies down to get stronger and doing battle. It's forming those bonds, which are so central to the story of Final Fantasy VII, especially Rebirth. And for a summon to realize that is actually pretty cool. But then the warrior tells Odin, you technically already have those bonds with you, you just didn't realize it. All of those people that you fought across your lifetime wanted to get better because they wanted to beat you. You made us stronger and you made us better because of how good you were. To which Odin realizes, I made them stronger, but they also made me stronger. So in a weird kind of way, even though Odin has cut so many people down, there were some of those warriors who maybe sought Odin out and were like, I'm going to try and be better so I can beat him. So in a way, he's kind of formed these weird kind of battle bonds that are kind of with him and will allow him to grow stronger, essentially. In a snarky kind of way, Angeal then remarks to Sephiroth, did you hear that?
Do you feel that?
Meaning, Angeal and Sephiroth have been butting heads for so long. Angeal is just trying to be a good dude, a good friend, trying to get Sephiroth to open up and work together, not just because they're co-workers, but because they're friends, and because Angeal's a genuinely good dude who cares about people. And Sephiroth, again, is at this point in his life where he's just pushing people away. He feels the only way he can get stronger is by doing battle and beating people. Unfortunately, this message does not land on Sephiroth, and he's like, no, I'll just keep doing things my way. I beat people, I get better, I get stronger, I become a better warrior, essentially. Sephiroth does eventually kind of learn that lesson as he gets older. He learns to confide in Angeal and Genesis and form these very strong bonds and friendships that unfortunately just get broken apart by Shinra and all of their awful machinations. Now, because Odin has become a stand-up guy, he promises to return everyone to their proper worlds where they belong. And there's actually a really beautiful send-off at the very end of this event, which I feel like is a message not only to the characters of Final Fantasy VII, but also the fans, the players who have been playing all of these games, including Ever Crisis, who have all just kind of come together to forge these bonds with one another that was started because of this game, because of this universe, because of things like Remake and Rebirth and the compilation and now Ever Crisis. There are people who have made these long-lasting relationships and have even gotten married over something like Final Fantasy VII. That's how strong a property can really be and bring people together. So the developers just kind of give a nice, beautiful shout out to everyone who's just kind of played anything FF7, especially Ever Crisis, over these past few years and have supported it over a year and a half, which is pretty cool. It's also nice because a lot of Square Enix's mobile games have been getting shut down recently, and Ever Crisis is kind of seemingly one of the last few standing as of right now. And if things hopefully continue to be successful for Ever Crisis, it can go for another year and a half, 2 years. to continue celebrating this franchise, because if there's one thing that's super cool that Ever Crisis does, it's these types of events. You get some really awesome character stuff and cool moments you wouldn't think would happen. And granted, at the end of these events, the characters' memories get wiped, so they won't remember everything, but I like to think that Odin does remember all of this. So now, when I play Rebirth and I summon Odin, it's not just going to be like, oh hey, there's a really cool summon. I'm gonna be like, that's my friend, which I think is pretty cool. Again, never in my life did I ever expect the summons from Final Fantasy VII to have character development that was actually kind of cool and meaningful, but also completely tied intrinsically to the story itself of friendships and bonds and life and loss and learning to trust people. It's really, really cool. And honestly, super touching. And as I was watching that ending, which again, I'll leave the link in the description for you guys to check out the full video. I would highly encourage you guys to check it out, especially that ending. It's so beautifully well done, directed and written, the music choices. It's just a really beautiful, happy anniversary send off to a lot of the fans, which I appreciate. This event itself was also just super cool. Seeing Vincent interact with a young Sephiroth and being kind of shook at first of holy crap, it's Sephiroth. This is kind of bugging me out. Seeing the continued evolution of Angeal in Genesis. Angeal is still trying super hard to Kool-Aid man his way through the walls that Sephiroth has put up, to see how Tifa still feels about Avalanche and to know that they're gone but they're still with her, and to see again that character development for Odin is so sick. And that's one of the reasons why I really love these events, is because we get cool moments like that. And it just kind of makes me hope that Ever Crisis not only can continue to give us these cool events for the years to come, and it does leave me kind of curious for Remake Part 3, because we have yet to see that Shinra Wutai war play out. Will the Land of the Dead even get mentioned in Remake Part 3? Because it's probably going to be pretty devastating in Remake Part 3, seeing that war play out and then seeing the aftermath of how it's affecting the people who are still surviving in Wutai, Yuffie's family, and Yuffie herself. So you just get a lot of really cool supplemental backstory stuff that I think is just super awesome. But with that being said, that is the video. Let me know in the comments down below, what did you guys think of the Odin Vanquisher of Souls event to celebrate 1.5 years of Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis being around, but also as a big thank you to the players. And also keep in mind, when that 2-year anniversary hits, this came directly from, I believe, Motomo Toriyama, the co-director of Rebirth and one of the main directors on Ever Crisis. He said by the time that 2-year anniversary comes around, we should have more information on Remake Part 3. So look forward to that, hopefully sometime in the summer. It's gonna be sick. I am Curious Corduroy. I will see you guys in the next video. Please remember to always be excellent to one another.